Hey Potterheads, and welcome to episode 2 of the SecretKeepers Podcast, covering Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, chapters 8 through 10. Previously on the SecretKeepers.
He introduces us to McGonagall, who is also the cat that was reading the map.
She was a human who looked like a cat. Is that random, or is that going to come back? Somehow a lemon drop's going to turn into some magical trick.
So he goes and gets the mail, and there's a letter to Harry, and it's addressed the cupboard under the stairs.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Then they stop at Vault 713 and get a small brown package. Now, Jared, do you have any thoughts on what this package could be?
It's a Hagrid's wand, and it's got some sort of bird in there that they're like keeping. No idea what it is. This girl's name is Hermione Granger.
You are a You're old duffer. Turns out this is Professor
Snap. Snappy. Snape.
There you go.
This is the SecretKeepers.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Colin.
I'm your co-host and editor, Taylor.
And I'm the star of the show, Jared.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, good.
Good. So last we left off, Harry had just got sorted into his house. And as we all know, he got sorted into the best house, Gryffindor. Then he went to sleep, had a bad dream, and didn't remember it. And that's where we left off. So, Jared, would you like to give us a little bit of summary of what these next couple chapters are about?
Yeah, sure. Chapter 8 is titled The Potions Master. We see that Professor Snappy, whatever you want to call him, is a jerk to Harry. And we also see we read about a suspicious package. From the suspicious package that was stolen from Gringotts. Harry finds out more about this when he has coffee with Hagrid. Chapter 9 is titled The Midnight Duel. We read about Harry. He's a beast on a broomstick. And there's also a three-headed dog over a trap door, which we got to get more into that later. And then chapter 10 is called Halloween. And Harry learns a little bit more about Quidditch, and there's a troll.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, I guess before we dive into what the fine details are in this chapters, Jared, do you have any specific thoughts as to this section of the chapters versus the first sections that we did?
Well, I guess the first off, going through this, reading was hard because every time I came to a name, I didn't know how to pronounce it. And then I got scared thinking, what are these people going to think about the names? So I got caught up on all the names in this chapter, and I still don't know how to pronounce them.
We'll get there.
Every single time.
We'll mock you more about it. It's okay.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, then I guess let's just get right into it. Starting with, like Jared said, Chapter 8, The Potions Master. So Harry wakes up, he's walking to class, and we learn a little bit about Hogwarts. We learn that their staircase system is a little bit ridiculous. They have 142 different staircases, and they all kind of swing about. It says there were sweeping ones, narrow, rickety ones, some that led to different spots on different days, some with a vanishing step halfway through that you had to remember to jump, which just sounds like great design for a school like this, but I think 142 seems a little bit excessive. But anyways, it also says that there's doors that won't open unless you tickle them. I thought that was pretty interesting. It also says that as we're working our way through the halls and trying to find classes, there's some ghosts that are helpful, but there's a poltergeist, which we were introduced to in the first episode, Peeves, who is not. He'd do a lot of different things to you. He'd drop waste paper baskets on your head. He'd pull rugs from under your feet, or he'd smack you in the nose and say, "Gotcha, conk!" You know, things like that. Seems just like a really annoying guy. I'm pretty sure we can all kind of relate. There's always that one really annoying kid in school. Taylor, I think that might have been you in my case.
No, definitely was.
And then we meet the caretaker, Jared. What's his name?
Argus Filch.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Boom.
So when they would be, they ran into him when they were mistakenly trying to get through the door to the Forbidden Corridor. They had got lost on their way to class, and they ran into Filch. Then J.K. tells us a little bit about Filch. He has a cat named Mrs. Norris, and he also knows the secret passageways and always wants to get people in trouble. I think we learned that from Fred and George. Is that correct? Yes, Filch knew the secret passageways of the school better than anyone, except perhaps the Weasley twins. So that just gives you a little bit more on the twins. Jared, what are your thoughts on Filch?
Filch? She just seems like,
What's her gender?
He seems like... For some reason... Oh, the cat was a she. That's why I got
There you
mixed
go.
up.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got that
I got
straight now.
I actually was confused during reading this thing. I didn't know if it was a she or a he, but that's all right.
No, Argus is a male. He has a female cat named Mrs. Norris.
Why does the gender of the cat matter?
It doesn't, but her name's Mrs. Norris.
You never know. It could be a lemon drop.
Huh?
Ooh. It's a cat that looks like a cat.
Yeah. So, then we get into, Harry goes into a little bit about what his classes are. So he has a class where he has to study the planets. He's got herbology with Professor Sprout, of all
convenient.
people. Quick name for that. History of magic with Professor Binns, who we're told he died and then just kept teaching. So
he's a ghost.
He's a ghost, right? We have charms with, I'll let Jared say this, and who's the charms teacher?
Professor Flitwick.
Nice job, nailing it.
Yes.
We have charms with Professor Flitwick, who's a short boy. We have transfiguration with McGonagall, defense against the dark arts with Professor Quirrell, who we met already, and potions with Snape. Do any of these classes sound particularly interesting to either of you guys? Which ones would you like to take?
Transfiguration seems pretty cool. And obviously charms seems like the most useful in my opinion.
I think charms. That'd be my vote.
Yeah. Well, Harry kind of gives he doesn't give too much about different subjects at this point, but he goes a little bit into defense against the dark arts with Professor Quirrell. He says his class was a bit of a joke, which hard to imagine when you have a teacher teaching defense against the dark arts who's scared of like everything. But it says his class was a bit of a joke. His classroom smelled strongly of garlic, which everyone says was to ward off a vampire he'd met in Romania, and he was afraid would be coming back to get him after one of these days. His turban, he told them, had been given to him by an African prince as a thank you for getting rid of a troublesome zombie, but they weren't sure they believed his story. Which, pretty good on him for being able to get rid of a zombie if he's scared of everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that what made him scared?
Was it? I thought it was a vampire.
I'd be pretty scared if I saw, I think it was a vampire. Anyway, I'd be pretty scared of either a vampire or a zombie.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, the next day, Harry has double potions with Snape, and also gets an invite to tea with Hagrid in the mail, which is delivered every day. So we go to potions, and we find out that it's with Slytherin. Oh, and also that Snape hates Harry. Can't stand him. So Snape opens the class with... Taylor, hit me with that.
Oh boy, I gotta get my Snape voice.
Yeah. Jared, what do you think Snape
I'm-
sounds like?
Like plugged in your nose, like, ah, yes, he said softly.
You think Snape sounds like this?
Yep.
You are here to learn the subtle science and exact art of potion making.
He began. He spoke in barely more than a whisper, but they caught on every word, like Professor McGonagall. Snape had the gift of keeping a class silent without effort. And then he goes on and talks about a bunch of foolish wand waving and cauldrons and fumes, and he ends with,
I can teach you how to bottle fame, brew glory, even stopper death, if you want as big of a bunch of blunt dunderheads as I usually have to teach.
it's really hard to read when you're plugging your nose and you can't see what you're reading.
Well, that's pretty good. So then Snape starts drilling Harry with questions. What would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? Anybody?
I didn't write down the answer. I knew there would be a quiz too.
I bet you'll get this one. Let's try again, Potter. Where would you look if you were told you
Well,
to
ask Jared how to say this.
Okay.
Where you would
Hold
look
up.
to find a Bazoar.
See, that's what I always thought it was.
It's a Bezoar.
That's what I thought. And then I listened to the audiobook, and Jim Dale says, a bourgeois.
It's a Bezoar.
Yeah, and we're going to call it a Bezoar.
Yep. All right. And then there was one other question, but Harry didn't know any of them, and this whole time Hermione is just sticking her hand way up in the air, waving around, trying to get his attention.
Like a
What?
like a know-it-all.
Yeah, Jared. What's your opinion on Hermione at this point in the book?
She's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, because everybody loves a know-it-all. So Harry gets a little bit mouthy to Snape, and he loses 1 point for Gryffindor. He says, I don't know. I think Hermione does, though. Why don't you try her? So a few people laughed, and he gets snapped at. He loses a point. Then the lesson continues, and Neville gets drenched with boil-inducing potion, and Snape calls him an idiot boy,
Yeah, it was.
which I thought was very good. Then Snape yells at Harry for not helping. Was it? Oh, I got lost.
He blamed Harry for not telling him he did it wrong, like it was his fault somehow, even though it obviously wasn't. He's just picking on Harry again.
Yes, and he lost another point for Gryffindor. So Harry lost 2 whole points.
2
And
points.
I want you to remember this because this will come into play later as to how many points Harry loses for his house. 2 points for that.
From Snape or from in total altogether?
Yes.
Both. Well, yeah, so however many points he loses through the whole school year. So you got 2 points taken away for that.
What about points he gains?
He hasn't gained any points.
Oh.
So Harry leaves the class, and he's left wondering why Snape hates him so much. Jared, do you have any opinions as to why Snape hates Harry so much? Or any guesses?
Yeah, well, Snape's a bad guy. He made Harry have the green flashes earlier, and now he hates him.
Oh, yeah, and his car hurt.
Yep.
So
Why
So
would he hate him, though? He doesn't even know him.
Snape is trouble. Everybody knows Harry.
I
Well,
guess.
yeah, he knows him, but, like, so you think he's jealous of him?
No, I think he's still associated with what's his name? You know
Yeah.
who?
What's his Jared? What's his actual name, though?
I forget.
That's good. You're not supposed to say it anyways.
I don't remember where it is. I don't
remember
call
what
him by his name.
Do you remember what letter it starts
Bull
with?
something or other. Volderol. Volderol. I'll find it here. Gotta find a page. Come on.
Oh man.
It's Voldemort, Jared.
Voldemort.
Oh, man.
You're pretty close.
Okay, so Snape's somehow in a league or something with Voldemort.
That's Jared's prediction.
That's what you're at. Okay.
That's what you think. Okay.
So as class ends, after class, Harry and Ron go to visit Hagrid. So they make their way across the castle grounds to a hut on the edge of the Forbidden Forest. So Harry knocks on Hagrid's door, and he hears Hagrid call back Fang, who's an enormous black boarhound, basically a Great Dane, I think. And Hagrid says, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's not near as feral as he looks." Kind of similar to Hagrid, so you can kind of see Hagrid bonding with creatures like this. So Harry introduces Ron, and Hagrid says, "Another Weasley, eh? I spent half my life chasing your twin brothers away from the Forbidden Forest." So that just kind of adds to the character of the Weasley twins.
He serves them rock cakes, which sound very appetizing. Shapeless lumps with raisins that almost broke their teeth. Anything with raisins in it is usually not good anyway.
Yes, agreed. But why
Yeah.
can't they do magic and turn it into something good?
Because they're first-year students, Jared.
Come on,
Whatever.
they don't
Throw
know
a few
any-
sparks at it, and then boom, it'd be soft. Yum. Turn those raisins into chocolate chips.
There we
Yeah.
go.
They
Now we're
don't.
talking.
We don't know. I don't think they know any spells or anything yet, do they?
No, probably not. It's
Whatever.
like the first week or first day.
Yeah. So, anyways, so Harry tells Hagrid about his lesson with Snape. So Hagrid agrees with Ron that it's no big deal that Snape picks on Harry, but he doesn't really quite meet Harry's eye when he says it. So Harry's like, something's up. So Hagrid then changes the subject by asking about Charlie and his work with dragons. And Harry picks up a piece of paper from the latest Daily Prophet while this is happening. It says, "Gringotts break-in latest. Investigations continue in the break-in at Gringotts on 31 July, widely believed to be the work of dark wizards or witches unknown. Gringotts goblins today insist that nothing had been taken. The vault that was searched had in fact been emptied the same day." And then it goes on, but we're not telling you what's in there. So Harry confronts Hagrid about this and is like, "Whoa, we were there that same day. Wonder if they were after the same thing we were after." And Hagrid definitely doesn't meet Harry's eye this time when Harry confronts him about this, so something's up. And then the chapter ends with Harry and Ron walking back to the castle, and Harry's got all kinds of stuff running through his head. He thought that none of the lessons he had so far had given him as much to think about as tea with Hagrid. Had Hagrid collected the package just in time? Where was it now? And did Hagrid know something about Snape that he didn't want to tell Harry? So many questions.
What do you think, Jared?
Mystery is beginning.
Yeah, that's definitely true. What do you think they took or were trying to take?
Oh man, I have no idea. Maybe it has something to do with you know who. Maybe it's
And
like
magic.
his ashes or something.
Ashes?
Yeah, or some power of his that they're trying to control.
Do you
Okay.
think it has anything to do with what they were there for, the package?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep,
Do you think it was the package?
I'm sold on that. What the package? What do you mean?
Do you think they were trying to get the package?
Well, whatever was inside the package, yes.
Well, we know it was inside it. You told us. It was a bird.
Yeah, Jared, has your opinion changed on what's inside the package? Is anything else bold
Yeah, I
predictions come
just
to
said
mind?
it has something to do with you know who. It's some sort of power of you know who.
Okay,
Okay, so his power is inside the package.
Yep.
Okay,
Interesting.
that is it. That's a good take. All right, chapter 9, the Midnight Duel. So the chapter starts off, and Harry just can't believe he'd ever meet someone he hated more than Dudley, and that is Draco Malfoy. He hates him, and he cannot stand him. He gets up that morning, and in the common room he sees that flying lessons are starting on Thursday. So he gets all kind of excited, and then he sees that they're paired with Slytherin, and Harry gets all sorts of bummed out. He doesn't want to make a fool of himself in front of Malfoy, because Malfoy brags about being good at flying all the time and gets ticked that first years are not allowed to play Quidditch. Ron kind of comforts him, says many of the Wizard family kids all say that they've flown before, but most of the non-Wizard family kids are quite nervous, and they're new, so he tries to say, hey, it's not that big of a deal. Neville, most of all, is the most nervous, especially because he has lots of accidents, which we've kind of seen, both with feet on the ground and feet off the ground. Hermione is nervous about flying as well, and she's lecturing about Quidditch tips when the mail comes, and Harry doesn't get any mail, which, not a surprise. He's got really no one to write to him that would write to him. Neville gets a package in the mail. What does he get?
He gets a Remember All.
Which does?
It allows you to remember what you had forgotten.
Close. It reminds you if you've forgotten something or forgotten to do something. It doesn't tell you what it was. It just glows red or something, right? If you forgot something.
Yeah,
That's
something
dumb.
like that.
And it's funny because Neville's super forgetful, so his is just always glowing red all the time. So it's
But
pointless.
Wouldn't yours be glowing red all the time?
Yeah.
You've
Probably.
always forgot something.
Yeah.
Right, but do you think it would just be like when you have that feeling where it's like, oh, I forgot something? Do you think this thing's even a useful thing at all?
No.
No.
I think it'd be annoying. It'd be like, oh, you forgot something, but you don't know what it was. Haha.
Yep. I was telling Jared at work today that I completely forgot to do something important, and I couldn't remember what it was. I needed a Remember All.
Should have had to remember all to tell you that you forgot something.
Yep.
Called your brain.
All right. Well, they walk out to flying class, I guess.
The Quidditch pitch.
The Quidditch pitch. There we go. And the brooms are all laying on the ground as they approach. And Harry said, "Fred
Ready
and George
to just start playing broom ball."
in the sky." So Harry said that Fred and George complain about the school brooms because they aren't good and they have a lot of problems. So here's a question kind of about this. What's your thoughts on this? Like, different quality brooms or name brand producing different results?
Well, it's kind of like getting a different wand.
Are different ones good at different things?
Yeah. I think
really?
so. Yeah. We find that out later probably.
I
Or
suppose.
we probably did in the first episode when we met Ollivander. But we might have not covered it.
I don't remember that. So they're told to place their hand over the shaft of the broom and say, "Up." And Harry's comes up on the first try, while few others do. So things are looking up. Then when they're getting ready to take off, Neville goes a touch too early, flies up about 20 feet, and falls off his broom and breaks his wrist, which is amazing. He didn't break
Just like
anything
that.
else. Just broke his wrist. So Madam Hooch takes Neville to the hospital wing and tells everyone to stay put, which, of course, if you tell a bunch of kids to do something and then leave, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, this is a bunch of 11-year-olds.
Great teaching here.
Yep.
So immediately, Malfoy starts Malfoying along with other Slytherins and gets all pompous, and he takes the Remember All that Neville forgot, and Harry starts to get all ticked off at him, and Harry's like, "Come back down, give that here," and there's a little bit of a back and forth, and then Malfoy tells Harry to come and get it. So Harry takes off to challenge him in the air and discovers that he's a natural, and Malfoy is stunned. He cannot believe it. So Malfoy, or Harry says something to Malfoy. He says, "Not so tough without your goons up here with you."
Another sick burn for Harry. Harry's got 6.
And Malfoy he realizes, oh yeah, you're kind of right. So he chucks it, and he tells Harry that he can go and catch it. So Harry scoots over there on his broom, and he catches it a foot off the ground. And then we hear, "Harry Potter, And it's McGonagall. And Harry is in trouble. And he's worried about getting expelled. So she storms off with him, takes him to Flitwick's room, and asks to see Oliver Wood.
Well, she says, she goes to Flitwick, can I borrow wood? And then Harry thinks it's a spanking stick.
I did not pick up on that.
Oh man, that's great.
Oh. So yeah, she tells Wood, who turns out to be a person, that she's found him a seeker. Jared, did this mean anything to you at that time? Did you have any thoughts on that?
No, not a clue.
But
Some
you know
sort
now,
of person
right?
that would go find something for him.
Yeah.
Like hide and seek?
More like your dog. Go fetch this, go fetch that.
Well, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Turns out she was actually very impressed with Harry, and she wants him to be the seeker for the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Turns out that Wood is also the captain of the Quidditch team, and they needed a seeker, so it just works out perfectly. So Wood wants to get Harry a Nimbus 2000 or a Clean Sweep 7 broom, and McGonagall goes to get Dumbledore to bend the first year rule to allow Harry to play. Which, good on McGonagall. Just first time in ages that this has happened. She's like, oh, this dude, let's put him on a broom. Good for her.
How come she can bend the rules?
It's a good question, Jared.
Isn't she like the captain of their team? Oh, I'll bend the rules and make my team better.
Yeah, she's the head of Gryffindor House.
Why that doesn't make any sense.
She
You're right.
wants to win.
Yeah, but she can't bend the rules. That's cheating.
Is it, though?
Yes. You can't take steroids and play sports.
Jared, she obviously has money riding on Gryffindor winning. Don't you think?
No. I don't know. She probably gets a bonus if they win or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's putting her team in the best possible situation to win by bending the rules. It didn't say breaking them. She just bent the rules. Anyways, back to it. So at dinner, Harry tells Ron what's going on, and Ron tells him that he's the youngest seeker in a century. Fred and George then come over and tell Harry that, what'd they say? Wood told us, we're on the team too. Beaters. I tell you, we're going to win that Quidditch Cup for sure this year. We haven't won since Charlie left, but this year's team is going to be brilliant. You must be good, Harry. Wood was almost skipping when he told us. And they got to leave because Lee Jordan's found a new secret passageway behind the school, which of course they got to go check out. Then Malfoy shows up, along with Crabbe and Goyle, and he thinks that Harry got in a ton of trouble from McGonagall. Harry says that he could take Malfoy, and Malfoy challenges Harry to a duel at midnight, and Ron accepts for Harry. Ron says that he'll be Harry's second in case Harry dies. So Hermione overhears, and she butts in, and she says, "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhearing that you and Malfoy were saying. And you mustn't go wandering around the school at night. Think of the points you lose for Gryffindor if you're caught. And you're bound to be. It's very selfish of you." So Mom Hermione comes in once again. So as Harry laid in bed, contemplating how to duel and worrying about being caught, and then he's thinking about beating Malfoy one-on-one and how awesome that would be, and he decides to go. So they creep down to the common room, and Hermione, of all people, once again, is there to stop them, and they cannot believe it. She decides to follow them out of the portrait while she's scolding them, and the portrait swings shut behind them, and they get locked out. So she decides, I guess I got to join you. And while they're on their way, they run into Neville, who forgot the password, which would have been a good use for his Remember-All.
Well, it was probably telling him that he forgot.
What, Jared?
It wouldn't have been good. It would just told him he forgot something. She knew already. That thing is so stupid. Here, you forgot something. Yeah, I knew that. Why do I need this thing that tells me I forgot it? I just don't understand this thing.
Yeah. So they run into to Neville, who forgot the password, and he also joins them. So now they got this squad of 4 people sneaking around in school. So they get to the trophy room, and they're waiting, and Malfoy is nowhere to be found. Then they hear Filch coming around the corner, and they hear that he's looking for him. And they all start taking off and they run. Neville freaks out and knocks over a suit of armor. And then they take off running and run into Peeves, who starts shouting.
Well, yeah, because Ron punched him. Which, interesting. It says he missed. But what would have happened if Ron hit him? He's kind of like a ghost, so what would have been the point?
Wait, Ron punched him? I think I missed that part. Or he took a swipe at him, sure enough.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Students out of bed! Students out of bed!"
Yeah, that's probably about what his voice sounds like.
I would be terrified at that point.
Didn't they cut Peeves out of the movies? Like, he's just not in any of them?
He's not. You're right. So, they start running, and they run into a locked door, but Hermione magics it open. Jared, what spell does Hermione use to open this door? Or do they not tell us?
They say.
They do. It's a Hawaiian spell. Aloha Mora.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. It's an Hawaiian spell. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess just a note on this spell. It's also known as the Thief's Friend. The invention of this charm offered a much subtler way to open doors than the likes of Aberto or Open Sesame.
Ah, nice.
So, yeah. So, they get inside the door. Peeves is outside. They can hear him talking to Filch, and he doesn't rat him out. And then what happens? Jared, do you remember this part?
What? When they get locked inside with a 3-headed dog?
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. You hear that? Can you hear that? Crikeys! Welcome to Merlin Irwin's Magical Creatures Podcast within a podcast. I'm Merlin Irwin, your host. And what kind of magical creature do we have here today? Blimey, look at that. It's a 3-headed dog. Or as us magical folks like to call it, a 3-headed Staffordshire Bull Terrier Hellhound Demon Dog. Now, this creature is especially dangerous. I mean, just look at the size of those chompers. Wouldn't want to lose your arm to that guy now, would you? I can't say I've seen many of these, but if you do, I suggest that you turn and run the other way. Oh, and split up, because obviously this guy can't. I would advise against playing fetch with it, just in case you don't end up in 3 pieces. If you're feeling lucky, you can play some music and hopefully falls asleep before you gonger, but don't quite work out for my cousin Carl, R.I.P. Anyways, that's all I got for you. Thanks for listening to Merlin Irwin's Magical Creatures Podcast within a podcast.
I'm so confused right now. What just happened?
Oh my, that was great.
That was thanks Merlin. That was Merlin Irwin's Magical Creatures Podcast within a podcast.
See ya, Merlin.
See ya. What a guy.
What a great guy.
Merlin Irwin. So, he gave us the lowdown on the 3-headed dog, or as they like to call it,
Fluffy.
What? What was that? What did you just say?
Fluffy.
Oh,
Fluffy.
That's Fluffy. So they panic and they run out of the room and they make it back to the common room.
Well, could we back up a second and talk about how there's just this massive feral dog in a room?
That's a good point, Jared. What's your thoughts on this dog? Why is there a dog in this school like this?
Okay, so my first thoughts are, right, the stairways and doors, they always change, right? Or they change day to day or week to week?
Yeah, they're always moving. Yep.
Okay, and this thing is just stationary in the middle of somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah, it was in a room.
Well, it doesn't mean the rooms can't change.
Ah,
Anyways.
I don't think the rooms move in Hogwarts. Do they, Colin? No, they don't. At least they never said that to this point.
Oh, I just kind of assumed that rooms and things changed.
Okay, continue.
And anyways, a three-headed dog, that would be quite the sight to see.
Not just a three-headed dog, a giant three-headed dog.
And if you're a three-headed dog, what eyes are looking at you? All of them?
Probably.
Well, there was 4 of them in the room, and that makes 6 eyes. They probably are looking at Ron. He's probably the tastiest.
There's no meat on his bones, though.
Yeah, he's tall and lanky. Jared, good comprehension. Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was more getting at, like, there's this ferocious dog just behind a simple, normal locked door, and that's it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, why would they not have more security for something like that?
Yeah.
My take on it, I guess, is just that J.K. needed a way to introduce this to the story to.
Oh yeah,
to
that's obvious. But
so she had to make it some way that they can get in. And
okay.
is the only spell that we know, so it has to be compatible with that.
Yeah, you're right. But
Does the Hawaiian spell open all doors?
as far as we know, yeah.
Because that would also be pretty dumb to have the random spell that can just...
Jared, it's magic.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have a secret spells to go to a secret room?
That's what we're saying. So it says that Aloha Mora can unlock doors and windows, but it gives no specifications to what level doors or windows it can unlock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a plot point.
Yeah. Well, they run back to the common room, and they're all like, "Oh, we made it." And Hermione asks them if they saw what it was standing on, and she says it was a trap door, so obviously it was guarding something. Which that's a pretty quick conclusion to come to, but say it's guarding something. Jared, what do you think it's guarding?
Well, the package is obviously the first conclusion. The other thing could be is it's a trap door to death. There's an endless tunnel you fall down.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Hogwarts.
safest place to send your 11-year-old.
Yeah. So yeah, do you still thoughts on Hermione at this point?
Well, she's still getting into everybody's way.
Yeah. Yeah, but she got them into the room. She got them out of danger.
Well, she got them into danger.
That's, I guess. You've done that yourself. That was a Obi-Wan quote. Never mind. Yeah, so they get back to the room, and Hermione has a sweet quote. Taylor?
I hope you're all happy with yourselves. We could have been killed, or worse, expelled, which is great.
So she definitely has her priorities straight. Yep. That takes us to the end of the chapter. So next chapter is chapter 10, Halloween. So the next day, Harry and Ron are looking back at meeting the dog as an adventure, not as something that's scary, and they start wondering what could need such protection. Hermione isn't talking to the boys now because they're trouble. And they're sitting down in the Great Hall, and the mail comes in. And Harry gets what? Well, he gets a long, thin package with the letter. And this long, thin package is...
Jared?
The Nimbus 2000.
Yeah, so it turns out that this Nimbus 2000 is from McGonagall, and that Harry has practice at 7. So they run out of the hall to open the package, and they run into Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle. And Malfoy thinks he can get Harry in trouble because he's not supposed to have a broom. So he says...
So Malfoy can get him in trouble for not having a broom?
For having a broom.
For having a broom.
Because first years aren't allowed them. You'll be in for it this time, Potter. First years aren't allowed them.
Okay, so this owl comes in with a big long package.
Correct.
Oh, I wonder what's in that package.
Well,
a hockey stick? Nope. Wasn't a hockey stick.
It's not just any old broomstick. It's a Nimbus 2000, and Flitwick appears, and Malfoy's like, Potter's been sent a broomstick, Professor, trying to get him in trouble. And Flitwick goes, yes, that's right. McGonagall told me about the special circumstances, Potter. And what model is it? A Nimbus 2000, sir, said Harry, fighting not to laugh at the look of horror on Malfoy's face. And it's really thanks to Malfoy here that I've got it. It's like, ooh, just rubbing it in his face. So he's allowed to have it, Jared, because of the special circumstances and bending the rules that McGonagall did.
Steroids.
Oh, man. So, yeah. Hermione kind of scolds them about breaking rules when she sees them next, and Ron kind of snaps back at her about it. Then 7 o'clock rolls around, and Harry goes to meet Wood and does a few laps on the broom. And then Oliver Wood, explains to us Quidditch. So, Jared, would you like to explain to the everyday muggle the game of Quidditch for us?
Oh, man. Well, it's not broom ball. I'll tell you that. It's a lot more confusing. There's a quaffle. There's chasers. There's there's balls and you chase them, and then someone defends some balls from being thrown. Some guys whack things from hitting some balls from hitting other guys, and then there's one ball that you catch and you basically win the game.
Yeah, perfect. So you think this would be a fun sport to play?
Yeah, absolutely.
What position do you see yourself playing?
The goalie.
Really?
Well, obviously, I'd love to be Harry's the seeker or the.
Yeah, the seeker.
That would be fun, but I would not want to be the bludgers.
The
No.
beaters? The bludgers the ball. The beaters are the guys that hit.
Beaters, yeah, the beater, yeah. The beaters, don't they hit the bludgers or something like that?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you got it. Perfect. So, let's see.
The scoring in Quidditch is whack.
Yeah, you want to go through that?
So like in soccer, if you get a goal, well, not like in soccer, but if you get through the hoops, the quaffle through the hoops, you get 10 points, right?
Yep.
And then that's the main way to get points, but the most ridiculous way to get points is by catching the snitch, and then you get 150 points. So it's like, if you
There's only
get the
two ways
snitch,
to
you win.
score. Not necessarily. I mean, it ends the game. I guess if you're losing, you're not going to want to catch it.
Right. So I guess it's just
But-
kind of weird.
The scoring's weird, but in her defense, how hard is it to just dream up a sport on the spot?
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know?
That is true.
So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Wood's given Harry all this instruction on how the game is played, and he talks about that there's no injuries worse than a broken jaw at Hogwarts from one of the bludgers hitting someone in the face. And then Wood starts throwing golf balls for Harry to practice with, which this was interesting because he knew about golf and could throw him golf balls, but he didn't know anything about basketball.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
Where do you even get golf balls if he doesn't know anything? Yeah.
Muggles hit him into the underworld. That's where all my golf balls go. I'm guarantee it. This explains everything. Shank, and I'm going to explain it. My ball is in a different world.
There's just golf balls just dropping out of the sky on the Quidditch pitch everywhere. Oh, man. So Wood ends up comparing Harry to Charlie Weasley, who could have played for England if he didn't go chasing dragons. So Harry's the real deal.
And time out. How is there like a English Quidditch team? Isn't all the Quidditch people people that went to Hogwarts?
Yeah. People that graduated, it's like if you're in high school, you're not going to be on the professional sports team for the country, right?
Yeah, but so every professional came from the same high school?
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, Hogwarts is the only place we know about, so it would seem like everybody would come from Hogwarts.
Okay.
Which is a good point because it sounds like there's not that many people in Harry's class. So,
And that there's not that many good people. So how do they keep up a professional team from England, from all over the world?
I don't know. Ask JK. We'll put it on the list. Whenever we get to talk to JK, we can ask her that question. Yeah, so they finish practice. Then there's a break, and we're 2 months into school, and it's Halloween. It's time to start making objects fly in Flitwick's Charms class. So Harry gets paired with I almost said it. Who does Harry get? Who does Harry get paired with, Jared?
Harry's partner was Seamus Finnegan. What? Did I get any of that right?
Yeah. It's you got Finnegan right.
I'm pretty sure that's how I read it too my first time through.
Yeah, definitely.
Seamus
Definitely
Finnegan.
was.
See, it's Seamus.
Okay.
So he gets paired with Seamus, and Ron gets paired with Hermione, and he's loving it. So Flitwick is teaching the swish and flick motion for the spell that's called
Wizard Barufio.
What? You're on the same page, right?
Where did you get that? No. You're looking at the name of, never forget, Wizard Barufio, who said it S instead of F. We're 2 paragraphs down yet. Okay. The spell he's teaching is what?
Oh, I got this. Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa. And this spell, special note about this spell is, according to the Book of Spells, the mass able to be lifted and the amount of time it stays in the air is contingent upon the skill of the caster.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're reading through the spells. They're going over the spells, and Ron gets snapped at by Hermione. You're saying it wrong. It's Wingardium Leviosa. Make the gar nice and long. And then Ron says, well, then you do it if you're so clever. And, of course, she rolls up her sleeves, and she does it perfectly. Then they're walking out of class, and Ron goes, it's a no wonder no one can stand her. She's a nightmare, honestly. She pushes past him while he's saying this, and she storms off, and she's crying.
Ron's
and
such
Ron's
a bully.
Yeah, Ronnie's just like, Harry's like, I think she heard you, and Ron's just like, so? She must have noticed she's got no friends. It's like, ouch, man,
Oof.
cutting deep.
Yeah, that's not even a sick burn. That's just mean.
Yep.
-1 for Ron. -1.
Yep. So they go Hermione didn't show up for class, and they're on their way down to the Great Hall, and they overhear that Hermione is crying in the girls' bathroom still, and she wanted to be left alone. So really putting it to Ron there. And they get to the Great Hall, and they have the feast, and Professor Quirrell storms in, and he screams, "Troll in the dungeon," and he faints. So Dumbledore stands up and says, "Prefects." Oh, you should do this. Dumbledore voice.
Prefects, he rumbled. Lead your houses back to the dormitories immediately.
So Percy's writing it. I didn't even read this, but it says Percy was writing his element. And I was going to say Percy was writing his element. So Percy starts gathering everybody together, and they all start freaking out. How did a troll get in? How did a troll get in? And
Same way that the dog got in, probably.
Through the magical vanishing room with the golf balls.
Yeah.
So they start to go towards the common rooms, and then they realize, oh, they forgot about Hermione. So Ron and Harry kind of sneak around the corner and wait for everybody to leave, and they're going to go get Hermione out of the bathroom. So they turn around the corner, they hide from Percy, and then they realize that it wasn't Percy they were hiding from, but it was Snape. And he's not going down to the dungeons with the rest of the teachers. He's headed to the 3rd floor. So, Jared, what do you think about that? What's he doing?
See, Percy's still trouble. I have no clue what he's doing on the third floor.
That was Snape, not Percy.
Oh, sorry. Snape is still trouble.
So he's running off to the third floor, but you don't have any idea what he's going to be doing there?
Isn't the package on the third floor? Or the dog on the third floor, I mean?
Yes, the dog's on the third floor.
Yeah. I want to say it has something to do with that, but I have no idea.
So you don't think anything of him going to the third floor, really? Is that other than it has to do with the package?
Yeah.
So you think he's going to check on it? You think he knows about it at all? Do you think he's trying to get it? You think he's trying to defend it? I mean,
I think he's trying to get it. That maybe a troll will somehow kill the dog, or I don't know. So
Okay.
he's trying to get it.
Okay.
So he let the troll in, and he's gonna get the package.
Okay.
Interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So they kind of ponder that a little bit, but then they're like, we got to go get Hermione. So they're running over, and then they smell something foul. Turns out that it's the troll. They decide they see it's in a room, and they decide to quick shut the door and lock it. And they're successful, and they go, yes! And then as soon as they do it, they hear a scream, and they realize that they trapped the troll in the bathroom with Hermione. So they got to go back in there and save her, obviously.
Which I don't understand. Like, how did you not know that was the bathroom? You were going to get Hermione from the bathroom, and then you locked the troll in the bathroom that you're trying to get Hermione from?
That's
Yeah,
seems like what happened. Yeah.
so it went in the bathroom, but at that point you're not reading. I don't think you'd be reading like labels on the wall. You'd be like, hey, there's the troll. Let's lock it in this room and contain it, and then we can go tell people where it's at, right?
Yeah, but you also realized that Hermione was in the girls' bathroom, and that's where you were heading, right?
No, I don't think they knew that yet.
I don't think they knew that they were at the girls' bathroom yet.
Oh.
I think they were just running down, and they smelled it, and then they saw it, and they're like, hey, there it is. Lock the door. Yep.
Gotcha.
Save
Yep.
the world.
Makes sense.
11-year-olds just saving the day.
Yeah. Quite the run here for Harry in his first 2 months at Hogwarts.
He still lost 2 points though at this point.
Yeah. 2 whole points. So they got to go back in. They open the door and they try to distract the troll. They kind of do like a 3 corners thing. They're like, hey, come here. 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 That type of thing. That's kind of how I envisioned it. And the troll's getting kind of confused. Harry then jumps on its back.
Wait. They basically did Pikachu. What's it called? Duplicate or multi-team?
Double team. They
That's
did
what
double
they did.
team.
They pulled double team on the troll.
The troll is confused. It might hurt itself in confusion. So Harry jumps.
Jared has no idea what's going on.
So Harry jumps on the troll's back, and his wand goes up the troll's nose.
Mm-hmm. Right into its brain.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just got a really small brain, so it just didn't hit the brain.
Well, it says, where does it say that? It describes what the troll looks like. Go ahead, read that, Jared.
It was a horrible sight. 12 feet tall. Its skin was dull, granite gray. Its great lumpy body like a boulder, with its small bald head perched on top like a coconut.
Oh yeah, nice.
So yeah, that's the troll. So Harry jumps on his back, his wand goes up its nose, and then Ron does the only spell we know, which is Wizard Barifio. He does Wingardium Leviosa. It lifts the troll's club up out of its hand, it tips over and conks it right on the head, knocks it out. Then right after that, McGonagall, Snape, and Quirrell, those 3 teachers show up, all of them into the bathroom. So McGonagall's all ticked off about it and ready to lay into him. And Hermione speaks up on the boys' behalf, and she lies for them to cover for him. She says, they were looking for me. I went to go look for the troll because I thought I could deal with it on my own, because I've read all about him. Ron drops his wand and cannot believe it. If they hadn't found me, I'd be dead now. Harry stuck his wand up its nose and Ron knocked it out with his own club. They didn't have time to come and fetch anyone. It was about to finish me off when they arrived. So Harry and Ron are standing there just like, yeah, That's what happened. And
Just
McGonagall
nodding stupidly.
and McGonagall buys it. And she takes 5 points from Hermione for this, and she gives 5 points to each Ron and Harry.
Net
So I
gain
guess
of 5.
Harry's at net 3, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So then the chapter ends. They all head back to the common room. They all say thanks to each other, and they make up. And the chapter ends by saying, "From that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them."
Aw.
That ends the chapter.
So sweet.
Yeah. So Jared, we kind of picked your brain as we went through some of this stuff, but what are your thoughts about where we're at and all that?
So yeah, that package I feel like is becoming more and more significant.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what it is or what it's about, but that's coming to play a bigger role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly
And-
would seem that way.
And then there's something with Quidditch. I don't know if it's a side story or if somehow this Quidditch is going to come into play in this whole scenario.
Yeah,
But,
they're definitely talking about Quidditch a lot.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the whole Ron and Harry and Hermione dynamic?
cool, but not cool. Like it just seems like a story.
Yep. Did Hermione redeem herself?
Yep. She's all good.
She's all good. Okay.
So all it takes is one person to lie to somebody else on your behalf, and you're going to be done. That's what I'm hearing.
In a story. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess the last question I had for you here was, do you have any thoughts on any of the professors in Hogwarts? Anything? Who's good? Who's bad? What? Any interesting classes or anything like that?
Well, Snape is trouble. McGonagall is a cheater. Quirrell's a scaredy cat. And that's about all the thoughts I have.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Any idea what the title of the book has to do with or what it means yet?
Well, he's flying around on his broomstick.
No, the title of the book. What's the title of the book?
So no, not a clue. Nope.
The Sorcerer's Stone. You don't know what that means.
Wow, man, no. Nope.
Okay.
Well, we haven't encountered it yet, or at least we haven't said that we've done anything with it.
I mean, unless it's in that package. But
Huh?
then I'd have to make some new statements.
Like what?
There's a stone in his package.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
A sorcerer, not just any stone. A sorcerer
Yeah.
stone.
Well, yeah. So I guess we'll leave it there. Yeah. Any closing comments?
Nope. As always, nope.
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review us.
5 stars.
If you haven't already, it may not seem like much, but it really does help us out. So you can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Keepers Pod. And if you want to take the next step in supporting the show, check us out at patreon.com/SecretKeepersPod. Become a patron and yeah, just support us on the show. So that's all for now. So until next time, we solemnly swear that we'll be up to no good.
I still don't get it.